Welcome back to the Foundations Classroom. In the previous video, we introduced who we are, how we work, and why energy matters. In this video, we want to talk about something that almost everyone who arrives here is carrying, whether they say it out loud or not, and that is the feeling of being lost. A lot of people come into this space believing there's something wrong with them because they don't feel clear about their purpose, direction, or next steps. And what we want to say right at the outset is this: most people who feel lost aren't lost at all, they're disconnected.
Yes. And that distinction is really important because when someone believes they're lost, the assumption is that something is missing, that they need to search harder, try more things, or become someone else. But what I see again and again is that purpose is already present. What's missing is access to it. This connection creates the experience of being lost, even when nothing is actually wrong.
Yeah, and this is where a lot of self blame creeps in. People start telling themselves stories like, I should know by now, or everyone else seems clearer than me, or I've done so much work, why isn't this landing? That kind of internal pressure doesn't create clarity, it actually deepens the disconnection.
Exactly, because pressure tightens the system. When the system is tight, mentally, emotionally, energetically, access narrows. The quieter signals from the higher self get drowned out. So you try harder, think more, do things more frantically, seek more input, and the connection to inner knowledge gets weaker and weaker. That's not because you're failing, it's because you're approaching access as if it's an effort based task.
And this is where we want to slow things down a bit. If you're watching this and thinking, yes, that's me, I feel lost, we want you to hear this clearly. Feeling lost is not evidence that you don't have a purpose. It's evidence that something is interfering with your connection to it.
And interference doesn't mean something dramatic or catastrophic necessarily. Sometimes it's obvious trauma, major life events, long term stress. Other times it's much subtler inherited, inherited expectations, unconscious loyalty to family patterns, roles you stepped into early and never questioned, emotional charge that's been sitting there for years. Over time, those things accumulate. They don't scream, they whisper. And eventually, that whisper becomes the background noise of your life.
Yeah, and there are a whole range of trigger points that present themselves in people's lives. These trigger points lead people to the point where they realize there is more to life and start searching for answers. They quietly question why they are here and what their purpose in life is. We're going to do a whole video on the topic of purpose seeking triggers, so definitely take a look at that one when it's uploaded and complete the poll to let others in the community know why you're here. It's useful to do this to validate your own experience and the experience of others that join this community. And what you will quickly realize is that there is nothing actually wrong with you at all. And you will realize that many other people experience similar trigger points in their lives. So, actually, you're in good company.
That sounds like a really useful exercise.
Yep. And when the universe throws a curveball at you, a lot of people start mistaking the disruption in their life for who they really are. They say things like, I'm just indecisive, I'm not very driven, I don't know what I want. But these aren't identities, they're symptoms of disconnection.
Yes, and that's why I'm always careful not to label people. When someone says, I don't know who I am, what I hear is, I can't feel myself clearly. That's a different thing. And when people constantly say they're sorry for something, they're apologizing for something in themselves that's not their fault.
This is also where a lot of purpose content goes off track. Because if you assume someone is lost, you try to give them direction, you try to inspire them, motivate them, or help them find something. But if the real issue is disconnection, then adding more ideas or pressure just adds more noise.
Purpose doesn't respond to noise. Your higher self doesn't respond to noise. It responds to coherence, and coherence comes from removal, not addition. When interference clears, there's often this moment of surprise where someone says, "Oh, that was always there." Not excitement, not fireworks, recognition.
And that recognition often feels quieter than most people expect, which can be confusing because you're taught to look for big emotional signals, passion, certainty, excitement. But purpose, when it's accessed clearly, often feels grounded, calm, obvious. But here's the thing: the moment of clarity about purpose may not be all that earth shattering at all. But don't then confuse that with the passionate pursuit of that purpose, because that is where your empowerment lies. It is in the passionate pursuit of your purpose, which ideally is grounded in a noble intent to make the world a better place, that you truly experience joy, love, abundance, freedom, health, success, and wholeness. And who doesn't want that? The important thing is that you don't need to sign up for an endless array of Tony Robbins seminars or positive mindset retreats or do endless amounts of yoga or any other performative spiritual practice. In fact, a lot of these things are actually counterproductive.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Your purpose is contained within the expansiveness of your higher self or higher consciousness. If your search for purpose is ego driven, it's not authentic and is likely to fail. You see, the higher self doesn't compete for attention, it doesn't push, it doesn't create urgency, it waits. And when the system is ready, when the interference has softened enough, the signal comes through naturally.
That's why we keep emphasizing that this community is an orientation space. If you're here and feeling lost, the invitation isn't to decide anything, it's to notice: where do I feel disconnected? Where does my energy drop? Where do I feel pressure to figure it out? These questions are much more useful than what's my purpose?
Because purpose is not a concept to solve, it's a state of alignment to restore. And alignment happens gradually in layers.
Another thing that's important to say here is that disconnection often happens very early. People don't disconnect because they've made bad choices. They disconnect because they've adapted. They've adapted to family systems, education systems, cultural expectations, and so on. And they adapted in those systems in order to survive, to succeed, to belong, often at the cost of self connection.
Yes, and those adaptations are often survival tools. They may be perfectly rational in the moment, but if they've never get revisited, they eventually become constraints. The system keeps running on old programs long after it's needed.
So if you're watching this and recognizing yourself, feeling that pull towards something meaningful, but not being able to access it, we want you to hear this as reassurance. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're not failing at purpose, you're likely just disconnected.
And disconnection is workable. It doesn't require you to reinvent yourself. It doesn't require belief. It doesn't require effort. It requires space, self acceptance, safety, and the gradual removal of interference. And that's what I'm here to help you with. Because as an energy healer and a shaman, I'm able to easily identify energetic blocks and work with you to remove them.
That's what the rest of the foundation videos are designed to support. Not by fixing you, not by pushing you forward, but by helping you understand what's been in the way. So as you move on from this video, we encourage you to hold one simple reframe. If you feel lost, don't ask, what am I missing? Ask, what might be blocking access right now? That shift alone often brings relief.
And relief is a good sign. It means something is softening.
We'll continue building on this in the next foundation video. Take your time, let this land, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Thank you for being here.